What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best WNBA player props on PrizePicks today. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 20 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we are on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 20 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you get access to the exclusive Discord to meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon. Should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $650 just yesterday, and another member who won $1,323 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Kevy Levy Fly, who said 3 for 3, you the man, bro. And shouts out to the real SRT Cam, who said I'm joining your group ASAP. So shouts out to them. And if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you can be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're actually going to be talking about is none other than Veronica Burton. And this one is actually for 4.5 rebounds, and this one is for less. Now, looking at Veronica Burton, we actually have seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on September 1, faced off against Indiana Fever, had 7 rebounds there. September 3, faced off against New York Liberty, had 9 rebounds. Then 3 rebounds against Dallas Wings on September 5. 6 rebounds against Minnesota on September 7. And then against Seattle Storm, faced off against, them and on September 10th, and had 2 rebounds in that matchup. So as we mentioned, we have actually seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5, but on top of that, her average over the last 5 is also 5.4. Now, coming into this matchup, it's definitely going to be a big one because we do know when it comes to Golden State Valkyries, they do face off against none other than Minnesota Lynx. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams, but looking at where both these teams do rank, starting off with Golden State Valkyries do actually come in at the actual 7th spot in the WNBA. On top of that, we also do know that they actually rank 4th in the Western Conference. Now, they actually have a record of 23 wins and 20 losses. That's a 53.5% win percentage, and on top of that, they are 14-8 at home, 9-12 from away, and are currently on a 2-game losing streak. So it is pretty interesting to see there. Obviously, looking at this matchup, we have definitely seen when it comes to Golden State Valkyries, we do know that Golden State Valkyries, have had, some pretty decent games, but they are currently on a little bit of a losing streak, so they are hoping to, change that around. Now, they face off against Minnesota Lynx, and it is going to be a pretty tough matchup because looking at Minnesota Lynx, what we actually do see when it comes to this matchup is that we do know Lynx rank number 1 in the WNBA. Now, not only do they rank number 1 in the WNBA, but that also does mean that they rank number 1 in the Western Conference. Now, they actually have a record of 33 wins and 10 losses. That's a 76.7% win percentage. On top of that, they are 19-2 from home, 14-8 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So it is pretty interesting to see. Obviously, looking at someone like, or like a team like Minnesota Lynx, they definitely have done a fantastic job for sure. But coming into this matchup, we do also know when it comes to this matchup, we do actually see that Veronica Burton does find herself in a position where Minnesota Lynx do actually rank when it comes to rebounds allowed. They do actually rank 6th. Now, they rank pretty decently. I would say that is a little bit, in the higher mid-tier. But in that saying that, a big reason why we still do like the under for this situation is that when we actually look at, Minnesota, we do see that they do a fantastic job at restricting rebounds to the guard position, which is what Veronica Burton is. And I did most recently play on September 7, and we did see Veronica actually do a fantastic job being able to get 6 rebounds, but we definitely do see that being much more of an outlier game. Obviously, like I mentioned time and time again, there will be times where players beat their averages or beat their expected outcome, and that was definitely one of those games there. So that's why coming into this next one, we do very much like the under for this situation for someone like Veronica Burton. Burton. So definitely keep an eye out for her line. I see a lot of value there to go on the under for someone like her, because when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have her favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So Veronica Burton, 4.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about none other than Napheesa Collier. So Napheesa Collier, great player, and this one is none other than 19.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now looking at Napheesa, we actually have seen her go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on August 29th, faced off against Seattle Storm, actually had 18 points there. August 31st, faced off against Connecticut Sun, had 17 points. Then September 2nd, faced off against Dallas, had 25 points. 12 points against Las Vegas Aces on September 5, then 20 points against Golden State Valkyries on September 7th. So it has definitely been a little bit of an interesting time for them. Now looking at someone like Napheesa Collier, we definitely have seen her go on the under in 3 out of the last 5 as we've mentioned, but her average over the last 5 is also 18.4. So we have actually seen Napheesa Collier go on the under, as I've mentioned time and time again over the last 5 games. And as we all know, Minnesota Lynx do face off against Golden State Valkyries. Now we have, touched on this matchup before, but just to remind you and reiterate again, we do know when it comes to this matchup, we do actually see when it comes to Minnesota Lynx, they do come in at the #1 spot in the Western Conference and #1 spot in the WNBA. Now they do have a record of 33 wins and 10 losses, but over the last 10 games, they've actually had a record of 5-5, which is interesting to see. Now, they face off against Golden State Valkyries, where Golden State Valkyries do come in at the 7th spot in the WNBA, and on top of that, they also rank 4th in the Western Conference. Now, they have a record of 23 wins and 20 losses, but on top of anything else, what we also have seen is that over the last 10 games, they've actually had a record of 5-5. So, looking at both of these teams, they have a pretty similar record over the last 10 games, very similar there. And it definitely does show that both of these teams have been playing pretty average so far. But looking at someone like Napheesa Collier, we definitely have seen her struggle to be able to go over on this line. And that's definitely just, a tall tale sign to us there. But looking more in depth at actually Golden State Valkyries, we actually have seen that Golden State Valkyries do rank #1 when it comes to actually points allowed. That's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. Golden State Valkyries have shown time and time again that, she has gone on the under quite consistently. Now, looking at this matchup, we do also know that when it comes to Napheesa Collier, we also have seen her usage rate be a little bit on the lower side as well. So since it has been on the lower side, that's definitely had a huge effect there. And that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation. Now, coming into this matchup, we do also know, looking at someone, like Napheesa Collier, not only has she struggled, but when you look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also have her favored for the under as well, which definitely, is definitely going to be a huge one there. So, looking at where the bookies also rank, kind of put this sort of pick, they do like the under, it's favored for them, and we are definitely going to follow what the bookies are saying there. So Napheesa Collier, 19.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So getting to the next pick, we're actually going to be talking about a Goblin pick because, guys, for some reason, when it comes to WNBA, there aren't actually a lot of normal picks out there. There's a lot of Goblin and Demon picks, so we are going to unfortunately have to pick one of them, but we do really like this A'ja Wilson for 1.5 assists, and this one actually is for more. So as I mentioned, yes, this is a Goblin pick, but like I mentioned, guys, all the picks that are out there, there are only a handful, around 4 or 5 normal picks, and we have talked about already 2 normal picks, which is Veronica Burton and also Napheesa Collier, and a lot of the normal picks are only for those 2 players for some reason. I don't know what's happening with prize picks, but that's basically the way it has been. But we do like this A'ja Wilson one for 1.5 assists. Obviously, Goblin picks are more likely to hit, but this one is definitely one that we have been eyeing. Now, looking on August 26th, faced off against Chicago Sky, actually had 3 assists there. August 28th, faced off against Atlanta, had 1 assist. September 5th, faced off against Minnesota Lynx, actually had 2 assists there. Then 2 assists against Chicago on September 8th, and September 10th, faced off against Chicago and had 4 assists there. So pretty interesting to see. Obviously, looking at someone like A'ja Wilson, we have definitely seen her go on the over quite consistently, and there's obviously an over pick or more pick due to the fact that it is a goblin. Now, Las Vegas Aces do actually find themselves against a matchup against Los Angeles Sparks. Now, this is definitely going to be an exciting game, but looking at where both these teams do rank, obviously starting off with Las Vegas Aces, Aces have actually found themselves in a pretty good position. They do currently actually rank third in the WNBA. Now, the reason why, this is a bit surprising, I would say, is because they weren't actually in this position early on in the season. They were definitely a lot more lower, but they have been able to pick up the pace and have actually done a fantastic job. And let me show you one of the reasons why. We do actually see that they have a record of 29 wins and 14 losses. Now, they do have a 67.4% win percentage, which I think is great to see. But on top of anything else, a big thing about this is that what we also do see coming into this matchup is that they are 17-5 at home, 12-9 from away, and they're currently on a 15-game win streak. Yes, you heard that right. 15-game win streak. So it's honestly been absolutely ecstatic for them. They have been absolutely on a tear. There really is no explanation for it. 15-game win streak is honestly insane, and they are hoping to continue that into this next game. They just definitely have been on a roll. Now, looking at their matchup, Los Angeles Sparks, we do know Sparks do come in at the 9th spot in the WNBA. Now, they are in a little bit of a different position because Sparks do find themselves in the 9th spot in the WNBA, and they also do rank surprisingly 6th in the Western Conference. So it has definitely been interesting there. They rank 6th in the Western Conference. They have a record of 21 wins, 22 losses. That's a 48.8% win percentage. And on top of that, they are 9-12 from home, 12-10 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak. So it is pretty interesting to see there. Obviously, coming into this matchup, we do also know, looking at A'ja Wilson and also the matchup against Sparks. Looking at Sparks defensively, we do know Los Angeles Sparks when it comes to assists allowed. They do find themselves ranking 12th in the WNBA. And I'll show you how bad that is. They do actually rank 12th, which is actually second last when it comes to assists allowed. So, there are only 13 teams in the WNBA, so that's why it's a bit of a big one for us on why we do very much like the over for this one. So definitely keep an eye out for someone like A'ja Wilson coming into this game. We do very much like the over for someone like her coming into this matchup. So, looking at someone like A'ja, we don't really see her having any trouble here due to the fact that it is a goblin pick as well. So A'ja Wilson, 1.5 assists, 4 more, I think is a great pick.